Welcome everyone. We are live from Apex 1. This is week 4 of the Formula 1 League. We are at Apex 1 in Westfield, New Jersey. This is your broadcaster, commentator, and league coordinator, Michael. And we are here in the Lotus 72D at Instabul. So welcome everyone. If you guys are new to the broadcast or new to the channel, this is now a weekly thing that we do here at Apex. This is our F1 league, so we're currently running 2 leagues, the GT3 league, which actually just concluded, and now the F1 league, which is in week 4 of 6. Now that GT3 league has concluded, signups are open for that. So if you guys are interested, I'll be posting the link in the comment section of this video after it's posted, and then you guys can also visit our Instagram page, Apex1NJ. Apex1.nj, sorry, and go to the link in our bio, or visit our story. We have a link for the pre-registration form up on our bio and on our story as well. So I'll just introduce you to our competitors really quick. Let me just pull up the broadcasting overlay. So right now, with the best time in the practice session, we have Slosa, or Mike, Dr. Mike Losa, currently sitting in first. He is currently a member at Apex, Platinum member, has been a member for a while, goes to many F1 events and more. So good luck to Mike, hoping he does the best. He's also very good at open wheels, that's his specialty. So I think it'll be another strong performance for Mike. He's done well so far in the league, so I think he'll follow it up again this week at Instabul. Moving down the list, we have DSK Duck, or Evan. He's another Platinum member here at Apex. He also, I believe, just did our GT3 league as well. And now he is, I believe, sitting at 2nd or possibly 3rd. Let me pull up the league standings right now. But Evan is looking for a strong performance this week. Let me pull up our standings. So we currently have Evan in 3rd place with 43 points. I did just mention Mike. Mike is currently sitting in, let's see right here. Mike is in 4th with 31 points. There it is. How are you feeling about this week, Mike?
Well, Maria Losa, Whitecourt Realty, Lotus 72D. Tell you what, she really helped out. Once we switched over to our qualifying form, tell you what, she really tight. We're dropping seconds off this. We're down 156. I see 155 and good qualifying. Can you have any electrical tape?
We do not. We do not. So yeah, there you have it. Mike driving the Maria Whitecourt Realtors Lotus 72D. Best of luck to Mike for this week. His car is looking strong, as he said. And I will continue on down the list. So up next, we have our next competitor, Ghostworks, or Jaime. Jaime is once again another Platinum member here at Apex 1, seeing a common trend there. Jaime is, just like all drivers, driving the Lotus 72D. This week he is on our Formula 1 simulator, so that is our F1 style seating position simulator. We also do have a few other sims that our other drivers are on. The other one is the GT Ultimate, which will be home to Evan, Varun, and Shane. So moving down the list, we have Varun, or Popham Seti. Varun is competing on the Ultimate Sim for this week. He will be looking for a strong result. Let me again pull up the standings to see where Varun sits. Varun sits currently in 6th place out of 9 drivers. He has 23 points. Scordo sits behind him in 7th with 18 points. And Ash sits in front with 5. We do also have some notable absences this week that I do want to point out to you guys. So unfortunately, Ash was unable to make the race. He is just getting back from a trip from Virginia. So Ash will be returning next week for racing. We also do have some other absences. It looks like Aiko, and Alda were unable to make the race due to work commitments. So hoping they're able to make it back for week 5. But other than that, for week 4, a great opportunity for all the drivers at hand. Only 5 drivers on the grid, so great points on up at grabs for any driver really. But these drivers will definitely be looking to capitalize on the absences and looking for a podium. Great points on up some notable absences. Alright, sorry about that. We are back. So I just want to talk a bit about the track before we get started. I'm actually going to also push this practice session in any minute now. Before I talk about the track, let me just actually talk about our format for those that are new. So for this week and for all weeks, we are doing a practice, qualifying, and then race format. So all drivers have about 20 minutes to practice. Drivers have been on for about 15 minutes now, so we'll be pushing them to qualifying in about 4 or 5 minutes. After the practice session, during this practice, all drivers are driving together, as they are for all the sessions. After the practice session ends, the drivers then get placed into an 8-minute qualifying session. During that qualifying session, drivers are able to drive around, try to set their best lap time, and only their singular best lap time will count. And that best lap time will determine their place on the starting grid for the final race. The final race is 45 minutes long, and the points are 20 for the winner, 17 and 15 for second and third, and then moving down the list, it goes 12, 10, 8, and then 6 points for last. So again, only 5 drivers on the grid for this week, so good opportunity for points for all the drivers. But now that I've talked about that, let me quickly transition to talking about the track. So for this league, every week we've been progressing through history. So we started in the early and late 60s tracks at Watkins Glen and Silverstone. We then progressed to a 70s track. And then now we are in the 2000s, the 2005 to 2011 era to be specific. We are at the Turkish Grand Prix in Instabul. So to give a little bit of history about this track, this is also known as Instabul Park. It was held the Formula One motor race. It was officially called from the years 2005 to 2011. The drivers are driving on the same track layout and pretty much all the same advertisements and everything you see. It is the same thing the real F1 drivers saw from 2005 to 2011. And this track also made a comeback in 2020 as well as 2021, just for a brief period, but it was only due to COVID, and then it got diminished again out of F1 history. So besides that, this track is 3.3 miles long. The total turns, it looks like, are 14 total turns, as you'll see from the video here. A little bit of elevation, not too much elevation, but our most recent race held in 2021, pole position was Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes, and then for the race, The podium was Bottas, Verstappen in second in the Red Bull Honda, and then Checo in third in the Red Bull Honda. And fastest lap was held by Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes at a 130.4. So as you'll see, those cars were much faster than what the drivers now in this league are driving. This is the Lotus 72D, about 450-ish horsepower. The fastest lap right now is held by Jaime or Ghostworks at a 154.9. But other than that, I think that'll conclude the practice session. I'm going to push it to qualifying now, and we'll see what the drivers can do. Alright, so we are going to push it to qualifying now. We have an 8-minute qualifying starting up. And good luck to all the drivers. So here they all are in the pit lane. We'll take a look at our cameras. We'll get our overlays back up. Looks like we have Evan, DSK Duck coming out first. Looking to get a quick start on the grid. Hoping to get as many laps as possible. So the laps are just under 2 minutes. So if the drivers are quick enough, they might be lucky enough to get in 4 laps. But if not, I think most drivers will be getting in 3 laps. So only 3 chances. It's a decently long track. Also a tough car to manage, especially with all these turns going down the hill. So I think we'll have a lot of lockups, a lot of tire overheating and fluctuations in the pressures, but we'll see what they could do. Alright, so it looks like Evan will be crossing the grid first. Outlap will be 2:12. Jaime's outlap 2:17. So 5.5 minutes left. Evan will have time to get in just 2 other laps, possibly 3 other laps if the overtime allows. So I think Evan and Jaime will be getting in 3 other laps. Shane just crossed the line with a 2:30 on his outlap, so Shane just lagging a bit further behind, losing out 18 seconds compared to Evan. But looks like Evan, there you see him ripping down the straight. We're going to go on board with Evan for this first qualifying lap. We're going to take a look here at the driver cam of Evan. So you see him again. This is the Lotus 72D, ran by Lotus F1 in the 1972 season. car as it goes down the straight. Looks like it's hitting about 140, 150, 155 down the straight. Plenty of speed, but also almost too much speed for what the brakes can handle. As you see Evan having a big lock up there in the front. This car is also very high revving. You'll see her reaching on the bottom screen. You'll see her reaching about 9,000 revs, about 95 to almost 10,000 revs once it gets the full red line. Do want to note too, the car does have 5 gears. I personally recommend all drivers to stay at a first gear. It is very slippery, very easy to lose the rear, especially if you downshift into first on the corners. But if you're able to manage it, you definitely do get the most out of that full 10,000 RPM rev range that this car makes use of. So you also see a small chassis from the car. Evan looks like he'll take it down the corner and post a 155.9 for his first lap. Gonna take a look at Jaime. Jaime crosses the line with a 156.6, and then you have Shane crossing the line with a 157.5. Gonna take a look back at our broadcast cam. We're gonna go fully on board with Jaime for this lap. So Jaime sits just 7 tenths behind Evan. He is currently trying to qualify for first. Does look like he is 8 tenths ahead of Shane. So it looks like the gap between first and third is about the same for the two of them. But other than that, we have Varun Pathamsetti qualifying in 4th as of right now with a 158.9, about 1.5 seconds off of Shane, who's sitting in third. And then it looks like Mike has actually not set a clean lap yet. So there you see Mike going on track. Does look like he's going at full speed. That was one of the slower turns of the circuit. But I think Mike will be starting up his lap now. Hopefully, managing to get a better lap time. We'll see if I can find a track map to post for you guys. But other than that, it looks like we're going to go back on board with Jaime. Looks like Jaime is about to cross the line. Still sitting 7 tenths above Evan. It is the battle for first. So you see Jaime going around last few turns. Looks like Evan will be making his pit stop. And Jaime crosses the line. Improves by 3 tenths. Still sits 5 tenths behind Evan. So Evan sits in the pits. I think he'll be adjusting the setup on the car with only a minute and a half left in qualifying. I think that'll be it for Evan. Sitting out with a 155.9, currently in pole position. Jaime in second. But we're going to go back on board with Shane for this one. Shane is currently in third, 156.78. I don't think he improved on... Actually, no, he did improve on his last time by about a second. But it looks like Shane went off. I think that may have been intentionally. I think he may have aborted that lap. But Shane was able to improve his time, but just not enough to get past Jaime, who sits about just under 4 tenths ahead of him in second place. Although he was able to build his gap on Varun. Varun still in 4th place with a 158.9. We have 40 seconds left of qualifying, plus a bit of extra time for the overtime period to allow all drivers to complete their last lap. But we're actually going to go back on board with Mike, because Mike surprisingly still hasn't completed a clean lap. Don't know if Mike plans on starting from the back. He did sit out a lot of the practice session, so this may be intentional. But regardless, we'll see if Mike was able to set a time. I don't think he was. So Mike currently has a 3-minute 29, which was his out lap, plus I think another spun out lap that he had. But Mike is far behind. Definitely not his true pace. So I think Mike will definitely be the wild card of the race. But Evan's looking pretty comfortable. actually, we just missed it, but Jaime was able to improve his time, but is 400ths off of Evan in first. So Jaime was surprisingly able to get another lap in, but just misses out on pole position by only 400ths. Looks like Evan and Jaime are well above pace. Shane is sitting just below the pack, and we have Varun sitting in fourth. So that'll be the end of qualifying. We're gonna have Mike crossing the line, but I think that'll be it for Varun. Looks like it may be it for Mike, but after Mike crosses the line, I'll bring you guys to a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back.
Hi, my name is Julie from Apex One, and we own the most realistic high-end racing simulators in Westfield, New Jersey. The fun goes beyond racing. We're also a lounge, so don't be afraid to bring your friends and family to join the fun. We host private events such as birthday parties, corporate events, and team building. Throughout the year, we have many events such as F1 watch parties, cars and coffee, and many more. Don't worry, we accept walk-ins whenever you have that itch to race or want to experience something new. Membership packages are also available. We offer black, gold, and platinum memberships. You're one seat away from racing your dream car at a fraction of the price. Whether you're into GT, Formula, drifting, or other racing, we got you covered. So book your racing session or next event now at apex1-nj.com. I don't believe it, baby. I know you lie.
All right, and we are back. We are about to get started here. Looks like, I think we still may have 3 minutes left to grid. All drivers did grid up, but this will be a 45-minute race. Let me just make sure all drivers have time, but if you guys, yep, all drivers are good. But as you guys saw from the commercial, this is, again, Apex One, New Jersey. We're located in Westfield, New Jersey. We are a sim racing lounge. We have about 20 sims in total. We have 4 different types of sims. All have full motion. All have paddle shifting, as well as very good pedals. Our motion sims are made by Cubic Systems. We also have real authentic racing seats. We use Sparko Racing Bucket seats, and then we have full carbon fiber seats for our Formula One sims. We also use Cube Controls wheels, which have magnetic paddle shifters, real carbon fiber, as well as LED lights and an Alcantara rim, giving the most immersive, realistic racing experience. And then moving down the rig, we have the pedals are made by Simtrex. These are 3 pedals on some sims and 2 pedals on other sims. The pedals have haptic motors in the brake pedal, giving you the full feeling of ABS, wheel slip, and more. And then our acceleration pedal doesn't have haptics, but has a very good travel and very stiff but fluid travel feeling in the brakes, as well as fluid travel in the throttle. But it looks like we have a minute and 50 seconds left until we get started. So I'll just talk a little bit more about what we do here at Apex One. So besides coming in here to sim race on a typical day, our standard game that we run is what you guys are watching right now. That is Assetto Corsa. We also do run for our GT3 league. We run Assetto Corsa Competizione. And then we also do iRacing for some special events, such as our Sim Center Cup, which I'll talk about later on in the broadcast. But besides that, some of the things we do at Apex One. We host many special events such as car shows, F1 watch parties. We also host race nights. So to get a little bit into more detail really quick about those before we start up. Thursday race night, we do that every Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. You get 60 minutes of racing, 3 20-minute races for just $30. We do that every Thursday night. Let me just look at something. So moving down the list of events, we also do host car shows, including cars and coffee events, as well as some early afternoon shows. These shows are hosted with many different car groups throughout the New Jersey and tri-state area, such as Scripted. We recently hosted a car meet with Next Gen. We've also recently hosted one with Beamer Club, as well as many others. So those are usually hosted on Saturdays and Sundays in the morning. We also do have coffee sold by Carfe during those events. And then finally, before the race gets started, I'll just talk about our F1 watch parties. So these are held for every F1 race, and they are $30 to $50. But other than that, the race is about to get started. That is lights out and away we go. And before we get the car off the grid, let me take you on board with the leader. So it looks like Evan goes wide. Or no, Jaime goes off. Shane also loses a position. Evan is currently sitting in fourth. Shane loses another position. Shane dropped down all the way to fourth place. And it looks like Varun is looking to make a move on the inside. Just unable to do so on Shane. Shane sits in fourth, Varun in fifth. We have Evan sitting 2.5 seconds ahead in the lead. And then Jaime behind in second place. We're going to go on board with Shane as he makes a move. Oh, and it looks like Shane gets back past Mike. Mike had an incident with Varun, it looked like. Both drivers going out. I think Mike may have caused that incident. We may have a penalty, post-race penalty for Mike. Varun definitely getting the bad end of that incident, though. Looks like both drivers will now be 8 to 15 seconds behind the rest of the pack. Evan's gap sits steady at 2 seconds. We're about to finish lap 1 as drivers get to sector 3. We have a 2-second gap between first and second, and then another 2-second gap between second and third with Jaime and Shane. So as you'll see from the gap, Varun got a very bad end of that incident. Varun sits currently about 9 seconds behind Shane. So hopefully Varun will be able to bounce back. I don't know if he got car damage, but if he did, that'll definitely slow him down even more. Maybe even force him to make a pit stop. But it looks like we may have our first driver in the pits. Looks like something happened with Jaime. Don't know what happened with Jaime. I see the headphones coming off, which is disappointing because he's been here practicing all day. But I think Jaime just crashed out on lap 1. What happened?
Hi, my name is Julie from Apex One, and we own the most realistic high-end racing simulators in Westfield, New Jersey. The fun goes beyond racing. We're also a lounge, so don't be afraid to bring your friends and family to join the fun. We host private events such as birthday parties, corporate events, and team building. Throughout the year, we have many events such as F1 watch parties, cars and coffee, and many more. Don't worry, we accept walk-ins whenever you have that itch to race or want to experience something new. Membership packages are also available. We offer black, gold, and platinum memberships. You're one seat away from racing your dream car at a fraction of the price. Whether you're into GT, Formula, drifting, or other racing, we got you covered. So book your racing session or next event now at apex1-nj.com.
I don't believe it, baby. I know you lied.
All right, and just a reminder, if you guys see a message at the top, if you guys cut the track, just make sure you get off the throttle so that you don't get a penalty and don't get disqualified. It'll show up at the top of your screen if you cut the corner. All right, sorry about that. So we are back now, 3.5 minutes until we get started. So I'm just gonna quickly explain what happened. So we have only a few drivers on the grid for this week. Many drivers did miss, unfortunately, due to work commitments, but one of our drivers was here practicing almost all day for this race, and just on the first lap, he might have cut a corner or something might have happened, maybe for an incident that he had, but he got disqualified. Since it was on the first lap, and also because he was here all day practicing, but mainly because it was only on the first lap and not in the middle of the race, the league procedure is that we will do a restart. So I had all drivers restart into the session, back into the session in the same position that they qualified in. So you guys will see in the top right corner of the screen, we have Evan still in first, Jaime in second, and then Shane qualifying in third. And then moving down the list, we have Mike qualified in fourth, and then Varun in fifth. All right, and good luck to all drivers. So 2 minutes left. I'll just again quickly talk about the track. So this is Instabul in Turkey. For those that have never seen the F1 race, this track was raced in F1 from the years 2005 to 2011. This track is about 3.5 miles long. You have 14 turns on the track, plenty of elevation, you have plenty of incline, decline all throughout the track. It is a traditional circuit though, so it is wide, plenty of space for overtaking. We do have a long straight on down from turn 10 to 12, so a great overtaking zone there. Turns 3 through 6, the first beginning sector of the track, are tighter and slower, so it will be hard to overtake there. And then once you finish the straight down after turn 11, turns 12, 13, and 14 will also be very slow, tight turns, so hard to overtake there. But other than that, pretty decent overtake position opportunities throughout the track. All drivers are in the Lotus 72D, so it's a very lightweight car, very nimble, allows drivers to all go door to door. So we're looking for some good action this week. But because we did have the race restart, all drivers were able to get a taste of what the race start is like, you know, what to expect from some of the other drivers. Some may be more aggressive than others. Looks like we did have an incident from, I believe it was Mike. It looks like Shane had dropped from third all the way down to fifth at the start of the first race that got abandoned. And then when Shane was in, I think Shane then went back up to fourth. Mike was in third, and then Mike spun out, ended up almost taking out Shane, but took out Varun in the process. Both of them lost, I think, 10 seconds of time, and then Evan went out 2 seconds ahead. Jaime was just 2 seconds behind Evan and 2 seconds ahead of P3. So I think, we may see a similar race start. Looks like the drivers have their race pace pretty much set. Looks like Evan and Jaime will be, faster in pace, but this is an interesting circuit, so anything can happen. But with that being said, that is lights out and away we go. Looks like Evan gets a blazing start, smoking his tires right out on the go. He also does lock his tires out on the first turn, but Evan getting a strong start, 0.9 seconds ahead just after turn 1. Shane and Jaime lacked a little bit behind, as did everyone else, but it's looking like a much cleaner race start than the first race that got abandoned after 1 lap. We're going to take a look on board with Varun and Mike. I think Varun had a little incident there. He had a yellow flag there for a second. Looks like Varun trying to make an overtake on Mike, but is unable to do so. Still staying close to Mike, so we're going to go on board with Varun. Looks like Mike went wide, missed the apex. Varun gets the inside line and is able to complete the move. Mike stays in his draft though, so Mike will be looking to stay close. But solid overtake from Varun and a slight mistake from Mike. Although it does look like Varun goes slightly wide again, and both drivers going wide, but Mike is unable to complete the overtake. Looks like Shane is also getting closer to Evan in the battle for first. Gonna bring it back though. Looks like Mike gets an overtake on Varun, but Varun takes it back up the inside as Mike goes off into the grass. And I don't know what happened with Mike. It looks like he fully went off the throttle, maybe to avoid spinning out from the grass. But Varun darts out ahead, 1.5 seconds to be exact. And it looks like that'll be 4th place held, for at least for now, for Varun after lap 1. I'm going to move ahead of the grid. We're now jumping into P2. This is Shane sitting in 2nd place. Currently sits 7/10 behind Evan in the battle for first. There you see Shane making his turn after turn 1. Looks like all drivers keeping it clean so far. No incidents, but Shane getting closer to Evan. I think Shane will be looking to make an overtake soon, but Evan's pace is good on the straights and when he has a clean lap. But it looks like both drivers get close, slightly collide, and Shane gets ahead. Shane gets ahead for first. Looks like both drivers collided on the side. I don't know if any picked up damage. And it looks like Evan spins out, loses second, loses third. He already lost first to Shane. And Evan falls back into fourth now. Only 2 seconds in front of Mike, who sits in fifth. But horrible first few turns in lap 2 for Evan, who went from first to second, and looks like Varun spun, and yeah, Evan and Varun had a big collision. Looks like Varun spun, was unable to get off track. Evan collides again. Looks like he has heavy damage to the front and rear wing, possible suspension damage as well. I think Evan will definitely be having to make a pit stop. I also see, I don't know whose screen this is, but someone going wide. That's Varun. I also see some heavy front wing damage for Varun. I think he also has heavy damage to the left side of the car from that head-on collision with Evan. So I think both drivers will be needing to make a pit stop. We're actually going to go on board with Varun. I don't know if you could see that, but Varun is going straight, and his wheel is completely to the left. So clear suspension damage there from Varun. I think he'll be forced to make a pit stop in this lap. And speaking of pit stop, we have Evan darting into the pits to fix the damage on his car. Does look like he gets a clean pit stop, but I think he'll have at least 30 seconds of repairs. And then we also have Varun falling right behind into the pits to to repair his car. Looks like a surprisingly quick repair from Evan. Actually, no, Evan didn't get all the repair and had to reset to the pits. Varun goes to the pits. Varun is now repairing the damage on his car. I think Evan hopefully got his damage all fixed up, but Varun, I think, got the worst damage out of the two, and looks like he'll be spending a bit of time in the pits. But I think Evan's alignment is now fixed back up, and Evan is now good to go. Although he's just 40 seconds behind Mike, who now is in third place, thanks to the big collision between the two. So Varun's still sitting in the pits. Looks like he's still fixing up his car. We have Shane sitting in first, 5 seconds ahead of Jaime, who looks like he's now building up pace. Jaime's kept it clean so far, but so has Shane, so we're looking to see what the two of them can do. Both of them look to be building a gap on Mike, who now sits in third. Looks like Mike has a 12-second gap to Jaime, so still a lot of work to do for Mike. Hopefully he gets a spin or possibly a collision from some of the drivers out front, or possibly even some traffic. I'm actually going to go back on board with Shane. I think he may have... looks like Potham said he is now just getting out of the pits. So Shane has just lapped Potham Seti, Varun. Looks like Evan is next up for Shane to hunt down, but hopefully for Mike or even for Jaime, Shane should be running into traffic soon with Evan, although Evan does have some good pace, so I think Evan may be keeping his place there and possibly catching up to Mike now that his car is all fixed up. Does look like Varun's car is now back and all fixed up, so Varun did lose a lot of time, about a minute and a half to Evan in front of him, but Varun luckily has a good car now, no more damage, so he'll just be hoping for the best, hope to keep it on the track for the rest of the race, possibly have some more incidents from some of the other drivers so that he could jump up in position. But other than that, we have 38 minutes left in the race. Again, for the format, this was a 20-minute practice session followed by an 8-minute qualifying and then a 45-minute race. So there you see Varun with the blue flag. Looks like he'll be letting, I believe that was Shane, go by. And Varun has another off track. So rough race so far for Varun here in the Lotus 72D. Again, this car is 1972, early 70s era Lotus F1 car. This car was debuted in the 72 World Championship by Emerson Fittipaldi. It was also clinched the Constructors title in the same year. To talk a little bit about the technical aspects of the car, this car is known by many to be one of the most revolutionary F1 cars of the time and of F1 history. Makes use of a Ford Cosworth 3-liter V8 engine that produces 450 horsepower at a whopping 10,000 RPM. This is a mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout, and moving down to the chassis and the aerodynamics are pretty much what makes this car. So the car in itself was about 550 kilos. We'll convert that here to pounds, and let's see, 1,200 pounds the car weighs, super light. But in addition to that, what makes the car so unique is its wedge-shaped design. So this car was the first of its kind to feature the radiators on the side of the car. You'll see from those little side pods poking out in that what looks like a big box with a hole poking through, which is now still present in the F1 cars today. This was actually the first F1 car in all of history. Out of all the teams, this was the first F1 car to feature that design, which was obviously successful because it still holds of use today. But moving on to the other aspects of the car, this car has steel disc brakes, not carbon brakes, so it makes a little bit for a longer stopping distance, a little bit harder for drivers to really find their braking points. So you'll have a little bit inconsistency in the brakes with that. You also do have brake fade from all drivers. Because of that, as the session progresses, the brakes will get slightly worse, slightly harder to manage. But other than that, The car makes use of a 5-speed manual H pattern. The drivers are actually using the paddle shifters today. They are not using the optional manual shifters and clutch, just to keep an even playing field for all drivers on the Ultimate Sims and on the Formula One Sims. But other than that, the car was, formed by Team Lotus. It was driven by Team Lotus. Also driven by Philip Harvey. So great success. It was designed by Colin Chapman and Maurice Phillip, two very well-known engineers and designers in the F1 era. But the history of the car was from the 1970 to 1975, so it lasted a very long time during the F1 era. But other than that, I will stay quiet for a bit. I'll leave you guys back to the race for a minute, and we will get back to a commercial break, and then I will be right back to talk about some of our upcoming events and our new league starting up soon at Apex One.
Hi, my name is Julie from Apex One, and we own the most realistic high-end racing simulators in Westfield, New Jersey. The fun goes beyond racing. We're also a lounge, so don't be afraid to bring your friends and family to join the fun. We host private events such as birthday parties, corporate events, and team building. Throughout the year, we have many events such as F1 watch parties, cars and coffee, and many more. Don't worry, we accept walk-ins whenever you have that itch to race or want to experience something new. Membership packages are also available. We offer black, gold, and platinum memberships. You're one seat away from racing your dream car at a fraction of the price. Whether you're into GT, Formula, drifting, or other racing, we got you covered. So book your racing session or next event now at apex1-nj.com.
I don't believe it, baby. I know you lie all night long.
All right, and we are now back. So looks like Shane is still sitting in first. Looks like Jaime has slightly caught up, sitting just 1 second behind. This is also a battle not only for first in the race, but also for first in the total standings. So looks like Jaime is able to make up another few tenths there just on that turn. We're going to go on board with Jaime here for a bit, but in the total standings for our league, Shane is currently sitting in first with 54 points, and Jaime is closely behind in second with just 52 points. So only 2 points behind. Plenty of points up for grabs in this race. Fastest lap earns any driver 1 extra point, and then 20 points are awarded for first place. Second place gives 17 points, and then third place gives 15. So if the results hold, Shane will have a 3-point advantage for the race over Jaime, and will then move into week 5 points ahead of Jaime. But if Jaime is able to overtake Shane here and finish first in the race, I think Jaime will be just 1 point above Shane in the standings, and possibly even more, or possibly even, depending on who gets the fastest lap. But still a lot up for grabs here in this race. 31 minutes left. 31 minutes remaining here at Turkey, Instabul to be specific. But we not only are fighting for positions, but all drivers are also fighting for points. So Ash is in 5th at 24 points, and Varun is in 6th in the total standings with 23. But Ash did also miss this race due to some traveling commitments. So it looks like Varun will be jumping ahead of Ash in the standings after this week. But all drivers do have 1 week that they could drop their worst result out of all the race weeks. So I think this will definitely be the drop week for Ash. So he possibly won't be too affected by this miss. But other than that, looks like Shane is slightly stronger in the first sector and possibly the second sector. But then it looks like Jaime's catching him in that last sector. So the first sector is, you have more mid-speed turns, slightly technical. But moving on to the second sector, definitely less technical. You just, as you see here, you have much more straights, far less turns, and this is where you really want to be in the slipstream of others. So if you don't know what that is, you basically want to be within about at least half a second within the driver in front of you. That'll give you what's called the slipstream effect. It basically puts you in their wind tunnel from them driving so fast, so closely in front of you, and that allows your car to travel at a quicker speed because it's essentially cutting through the air. So Jaime is just out of the slipstream of Shane, but if Jaime is able to repeat this more technical and tight, slower third sector, if he's able to catch up to Shane in this sector just like he has in the previous sectors, I think Jaime will be able to get back into his slipstream and hopefully able to make a move soon. We're going to go further back down the grid for just a second. Looks like Mike is 25 seconds behind Jaime. Mike sits comfortably in third, 20 seconds ahead of Evan, who's in fourth. So I think if Mike is able to hold on to this, it'll be a good points for Mike. But it does look like Mike just got lapped by somebody. I couldn't tell who that was. Looks like, yeah, that was actually Shane. So looks like Shane actually lapped Mike. So Mike is in third, but Shane is in first and actually just lapped him. So I think that shows the gap that's accumulated here in this race. We're going to go on board with Varun, who just had a little incident. Looks like he collided into the wall, slows down, and is going to get lapped by Jaime here on the straight. But I think Varun picked up some slight minor front wing damage on the car. Luckily, no suspension damage. So he should be able to carry on without having to make a second pit stop. But Varun getting lapped, Mike getting lapped. I think Evan got lapped. We have big gaps here at Turkey. So this is a longer track, about 3.4 miles. The lap time is just under 2 minutes. So it definitely gives more room for error. But it looks like Shane has kept it consistent so far. Slightly more consistent than Jaime as he's built up his gap another second. Now sitting at 2 seconds ahead. And 27 minutes left to go. And you guys may remember I did just mention before some of the other events we have here at Apex. So I do want to quickly talk about our GT3 League, which is now in week 6 of 6. So our GT3 League was a 6-week league just like this. It ran starting 7 weeks ago, because we did have 1 week off for all drivers for Memorial Day. But all drivers were competing in GT3 cars on ACC. So we had a split on Monday as well as Wednesday. All drivers raced at 8 p.m. on the same day each week for 6 weeks. This was a full league format, just as this was. We had a live broadcast, which was on the same YouTube channel, Apex One New Jersey. And we also had live stewarding. We had points, replays, and basically all of what you see in this league, plus a little more, because we did have more drivers in that league. So we had, in the Monday split, I believe about 15 drivers, and Wednesday split, I believe about 16 to 17 drivers. So great competition in both leagues. The Monday league just concluded just yesterday. Congratulations to Nunzio on completing his finish second in the race and finished his championship. So that's now back-to-back league wins for Nunzio. Another strong performance from him. He competed in the Porsche for this league. So congratulations to Nunzio. But tomorrow we'll have the final week of the Wednesday split. So it looks like James will be taking the championship of that league. But that league has been very competitive as well. Great racing all around from all drivers, really. We've seen, many progressions of drivers. The start was a little rough, but we've definitely seen all drivers improve. But I'm actually going to go back on board with Shane, who looks like he had a bit of a slowdown and almost collided there with Jaime. So Shane had a slowdown. Jaime is now closely behind. Looks like he'll be able to get into his slipstream onto the straight. But going back to our GT3 League, now with the conclusion of our GT3 League, we've actually just opened up pre-registration. So we now have a 1 month off season. So during that off season, we will be running a members only Sim Center Cup. And what that is a 3-week cup against 3 other sim centers throughout the US. There will be 28 total drivers on the grid. All drivers will be racing in the Porsche GT3 on iRacing. It'll be 3 weeks, 1 race each week. Apex 1 will be represented by 10 drivers. We have Seamus, the owner, representing Apex 1. So shout out to Seamus, who I believe is watching the broadcast. We also have Nunzio, who will be representing Apex, who gets one of the guaranteed spots, being one of the GT3 winners. And then for our other spots, we had the top six drivers were able to qualify. So anyone that's a member at Apex 1 was able to put in their best qualifying time and attempt to make the top 6 to earn a seat in the Sim Center Cup. So congratulations we have Mike Polasek, John Bujalski, Ant Mad, Eric, Jaime, and Groovy. Those are the top 6 drivers who will be also representing Apex 1. And besides that, I know I'm missing 2 more. Besides Seamus and Nunzio, the other 2 guaranteed spots will be the Brands Hatch Endurance winner, which actually was James, but since he's unable to make it for the league, the spot was given to second place of the Brands Hatch Endurance race, which was David De Leon. So congrats to David on finishing second in the Endurance and earning your guaranteed spot into the Sim Center Cup. And then the last spot will be up for grabs tomorrow. So if you guys want to watch that, you can watch the broadcast, same channel, same time. It'll be starting at about 7:30, the broadcast, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And that'll be the season finale of the GT3 League. So if you guys want to sign up for the next one, after this 1 month off season, we will be starting season 2, which will be another 6-week long league. The pre-registration form is now up and live. So if you guys are in our Discord, you can find the link posted in there. But if not, you guys can check out our Instagram page, apex1.mj. The link is posted in our Instagram stories as well as on our Instagram bio. And after the conclusion of this broadcast, I will also be posting that link in the comment section of this video. So if you guys have continued to stick around and watch the race, I appreciate it. This is, again, week 4. We have 22 minutes left in the race. It's been a bit cleaner race so far than compared to the previous weeks. If you missed the start, we did have to redo the race start in lap 1. One of the drivers, Jaime, unfortunately got disqualified due to an issue that happened with track limits and the automatic stewarding system in the game. But because it only happened 1 lap into the race, we were able to redo the race start, and looks like it definitely paid off for Jaime, who now sits comfortably in second place. But besides that, looks like a pretty slow race. I think Varun just went slightly off track, but it looks like all drivers have pretty decent gaps ahead and behind them. There you see Varun going off track again. I don't think he has any damage to his car, but you could definitely see him over pushing the car. Actually, sorry, I just looked at his screen. He does have some slight damage to the front wing, which will obviously be affecting his turn-in, especially on those downhill sharp turns, sharp and sweeping turns. So there you see Varun getting seeing the bad effects of the reduced aero on his car. But we're gonna go back on board with Shane for a bit. Shane sits comfortably in first place. Looks like his last lap was a 1:56.4. And let me see if I could pull up his best lap time. Oh no, sorry. So Shane's best lap was, Shane's last lap was a 56.4. and Shane's best lap was a 55.7. So there you see great pace from Shane, although it is still a very long track. But we're going to go look at Jaime's pace, who now lost a lot of time to Shane. Jaime's best time is about 9/10 slower, 156.6, which actually was his last lap. So hopefully Jaime will be able to build up pace after the little mishap that he had, possibly be able to catch up to Shane, but definitely hopefully be able to hold out his second place position from Mike. And just as we go on board, it looks like Mike has a slight spin, but is able to keep control of the car. I think Mike actually might have the fastest lap of the race so far. Mike has a 55.4. So right now Mike would sit at 15 points for third, plus an additional point if he was able to get fastest lap of the race. So a 16-point race for Mike wouldn't be too bad. And we have Evan losing control. And give me 1 second. Let me just add time to our drivers. Sorry about that. I'm back. And looks like Varun goes off track. So bear with me, guys, if I have to go away for a bit. It's a bit of multitasking here with the broadcast, just making sure all drivers have enough time on all their sims. So for those that don't know, we are live here at Apex 1. We're in Westfield, New Jersey. This is a sim racing lounge. We have 20 full motion sims that are all up and running at the moment. We have motion made by Cubic Systems, pedals made by Simtrex, and wheels made by Cube Controls. All sims have motion, some more than others. So right now our drivers, Varun, Evan, and I believe in the corner, Shane. Those are the three drivers making use of the best sims, the GT Ultimates. So those have 6 degrees of freedom. And those are the more technical terms, but in more simplistic terms, 6 degrees of freedom basically means you get all directions of motion in the sim. And on the other side of Apex, on the other side of the wall here at Apex, we have our Formula 1 sims, which are being used by Mike, also being used by Jaime, and then our last driver, Evan, sitting in the back. So those guys are using the F1 sims. Those sims have 2 degrees of freedom, a little bit less, but you still get a lot of motion in those. You lose out on the feeling of accelerating and de-accelerating, as well as the traction loss. You still get plenty of motion in the bumps. They also do have full carbon fiber bucket seats. And I'm actually gonna stop talking because it looks like, I don't know who that was. Someone spun out there. Wasn't able to catch on the camera who that was, but looks like they just missed Varun going down there. I think it might have been Mike, but looks like, again, these drivers are struggling. They are facing a bit adverse conditions, so we are in the light fog this race. Normally drivers have been racing in near ideal conditions. It's been middle of the day, perfectly sunny, making the track super rubbery, super grippy. But now with the introduction of fog, looks like the track conditions are slightly worse. Drivers may not have adjusted their tire pressure, correctly. And we've seen a bit of sliding from some drivers, but I will note we've seen a lot less front tire locking compared to last week. So that was one of the main things I noted on the broadcast last week. You had plenty of front tire lockups, mostly on all the turns, plenty of tight turns, and close corners. I think many of the drivers had their brake bias up too high, but looks like this week either the default setup was adjusted better, or the drivers were able to adjust their brake bias to better suit the more sweeping turns of this track. But there you'll see from the timer in the left, we have 15 minutes left in the race. Evan, I think, currently has the fastest lap of the session with a 55.4. Mike is sitting in 4th place. Looks like he had a slight slide there, but is able to maintain control. 2:08 was his last lap, so I think he may have struggled there in the last lap, may have had a slide off or something. But other than that, Varun still sits in 5th. Jaime still in 2nd. Pretty big gaps remain all around the track. So I think these results may hold, but we still have a third of the race left, so plenty of time to go. Plenty of time for mishaps, collisions, also possible blue flags. So we'll see what they can do. But in the meantime, we'll go back on board with Shane for a minute or two. All right, and I'm now back. So we have Shane still sitting comfortably in first. I believe that was Hugo in the comments. Let me just check. I know someone was shouting out Shane. Yep, Hugo says, dang, Shane's killing it. Strong week from Shane. Looks like he didn't have as much practice as Jaime, but the practice he did have definitely has paid off for Shane this week. And just as I've seen in the other weeks, as well as I've seen in the GT3 League, looks like the strongest, most competitive drivers are those that have just came here the most, made the best use of their platinum memberships, and put in the most seat time. So, there's a lot of gaps in racing. Many drivers are way faster than you. A lot of times you may think you're near the limit of the car, but then, especially at a place here like Apex, you see someone else get in the same car and on the same track, and suddenly they're like 1 to 2 seconds quicker than you. So there's always someone quicker than you. But with that being said, there's also a ton of room for improvement for all drivers. So only way really to improve in sim racing and also real life racing and any sort of track driving is just putting in seat time. So the more time you put in, the more repetition you get through every turn, the better you'll get over time. And that's also why we have some of our memberships here at Apex One. So the best membership we have is called the Platinum membership. This membership is $200 a month. You can cancel at any time, and it gives unlimited racing all days of the week, Monday through Friday, as well as Saturday and Sunday. From opening until closing, you can race for as long as you want. But we have also introduced a new promotion for the summertime. So if you're still interested in unlimited racing, but maybe don't want to break the bank and spend $200 a month, we now have a new promotion called the Summer Pass. So for $100 a month, you can also cancel this at any time. You get unlimited racing only on weekdays, so from Monday through Friday, from the hours of 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. So still great value for the money that you pay. Normally, a typical sim session would be $30 for 20 minutes. You also do save a lot. You get great value for your money if you get entry into one of our leagues. So we have our GT3 League launching, starting up in about a month from now. That league will be, tickets aren't up yet to enter the league, although we do have the pre-registration now live. But that league will most likely cost about $140 for non-platinum members, and will include about 6 to 8 hours of total racing. It's 6 weeks long. We say each week is an hour of racing, but in reality, it's probably more closer to an hour and 15 minutes of racing. So you're definitely getting good value out of that. It just is a bit of a longer commitment. We ask that all drivers try to make it throughout all the weeks, because as you've seen in this league and this week, we had we have exactly half the grid who did not make the race due to various reasons. So this race and this league is a little unique because this is our first one where we actually have cash prizes on the line. So those who miss each week are only hurting themselves, especially if they miss more than the 1 week that's allowed for your drop week. But looks like all other drivers will be looking to take advantage of that. I think Shane is definitely the biggest winner from today. But Jaime and Evan also doing great work for to stay on podium and earn some critical points for the league. And there's now 5 minutes left in the race. We are on board with Varun, who still sits in 5th. Now looking at Mike, who still sits in 4th. Looks like all drivers have finally found their consistency, although for some drivers it's looking like it's too late, as many of them don't have time to catch up to the drivers in front. We do have Evan, who last lap posted a 1:55.9. We'll see Jaime few tenths slower, so it looks like Evan is slightly making up his time, but with the 13-second gap, I definitely don't think he'll be able to make up his position. But other than that, I'm just going to toggle around, see who has the fastest lap of the session. We have a 55.7 from Shane. Jaime has a 56.2. And then we have Evan with a 55.4. We have Mike with a 57.7. And then Varun with a 56.3. So Evan is currently in 3rd. It does look like he currently holds the fastest lap of the race, though. So Evan will be getting 15 points. If his position holds, Evan will be getting 15 points for 3rd. And then another additional point for fastest lap of the race. So still a good result for Evan. We're also looking at Mike, who, even though he did finish lower in the pack because of all the absences from the other drivers, still some very good points from Mike, who's able to get 4th if he's able to hold on. So great position and point result for Mike. And for Varun, even though he did get 5th, still decent points. Definitely could have done better. He did finish last on the day, but still not bad. If there was full drivers on the grid, he would have been half there out of the full 9 to 10 drivers. So still decent points for Varun, but obviously not the outing that he would have hoped for tonight, unfortunately. Looks like Mike almost goes to a complete stop. I don't know what that was, but he is able to continue on. I worried there that he might have lost gas, although I'm pretty sure there's no gas consumption in this race. But he is able to carry on, still stays ahead of Varun in 4th. Evan still remains on track. Looks like all drivers have definitely cleaned it up, found their pace, found their consistency, and we're seeing far less off tracks now. But this is now the minute left, so we're now getting into the home stretch. I think we'll have the drivers making their last lap shortly. But I'll just remind you guys all of the standings. So we're currently 3 weeks in. After today, this will now be 4 weeks in. But after 3 weeks of racing, our point standings, we currently have Shane sitting in 1st at 54 points. In 2nd place, we have Jaime with 52. Jaime is Ghostworks on screen. And then in 3rd, we have DSK Duck or Evan with 43 points. Moving further down, we have Slosa or Mike in 4th with 31. Ash, who is not racing today, in 5th with 24, and Varun in 6th with 23, or Pathamseti. Scordo or Steven in 7th, who's also not racing today. And then Aiko in 8th with 10 points, and then Alda in 9th with 10 points as well. So looks like our final drivers will be crossing the grid. That'll be the end of the race for Evan as he crosses. Shane, Jaime, and Mike already crossed the line, and it looks like we just have Varun left to cross the line. But looks like Shane finishing first will be holding on to his overall league position. I think now with that, I think on this race that puts him 3 points. So let's see. I believe that'll put him now 5 points in total ahead of Jaime in the battle for first. Evan got 16 points in the race, so it looks like he'll be holding on to his 3rd place in the point standing. But overall, good result from Shane and as well as Jaime and Evan. So congratulations to those drivers who all finished on our podium. And other than that, that is the conclusion of week 4 of our F1 league here at Instabul. This is Michael about to sign off. If you guys want to watch the rest of the league, as well as stay tuned for the rest of our upcoming leagues and the Wednesday league, you guys can watch all those live streams on this YouTube channel. Please leave a like and subscribe, and if you have any feedback on the race or on the broadcast, leave a comment below. We appreciate all your comments and feedback. But other than that, appreciate you guys all tuning in, and I will see you guys all next week.